Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, one and all. I had a chance to meet you. I had to run off and chairing another hearing, but glad you're still here, and thank you for your testimony today. I have a couple of questions. One deals with targeting the child tax credit to help those most in need, and I'll just get right to that one. One important principle that I try to follow when considering policies like the child tax credit is to ensure that benefits are targeted to those most in need. I think that's a view that's shared by most, if not all, of my colleagues. Unfortunately, the child tax credit as it currently exists does not reflect this principle. And today, I'm told a married couple earning up to $400,000 per year is able to receive the full benefit of the child tax credit. At the same time, a married couple at the lowest end of the income spectrum is only eligible for a portion of that credit. Question, and this would be for Ms. Matsui and Ms. Lester, but how can policymakers better target the child tax credit to support those most in need instead of benefiting upper income families, all while reducing the cost of the credit to the federal government? Please, Ms. Matsui.
Senator, thank you for the question. I think one of the most important ways to make the child tax credit accessible to those who need it the most is to remove the earned income requirement, which limits and boxes out, at this moment, 19 million children under the age of 17 in households who don't earn enough to be able to claim the full credit. In addition, the provision from the 2017 tax law that made children with ITINs ineligible to be claimed for the child tax credit is another policy that locks families out of the benefits of the child tax credit and is another way that we could improve it so that the families most in need receive it.
Okay, good, thank you. Ms. Lester, the same question. How can policymakers like us better target the child tax credit to support those most in need instead of benefiting, in no small part, upper income families, all while reducing the cost of the credit to the federal government?
I think you basically have to spend money to save money sometimes, and that is going to be through the family-friendly policies is going to help the average family, such as myself, a two-income working household. We need better policies to be able to continue to work. It's not sustainable to continue to pay almost $30,000 for childcare so that I can go to work. I mean, that's most people's yearly income, so they can't maintain that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
My second question is for Mr. Collins. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's been a full day so far. But a question, if I could, on the Earned Income Tax Credit and workforce participation. As I travel around the little state of Delaware, about 100 miles from north to south, about 50 miles from east to west, we've got 1 million people. But I regularly do what we call customer calls. I visit businesses large and small. We visited schools, hospitals, all kinds of entities, nonprofits. But when I do these customer calls throughout our state, I find out how they're doing. I ask those folks that we're visiting, I say, how are we doing as a congressional delegation? Congress, how are we doing? How's the federal government doing? How's the state government doing? And I ask, how can we help? I ask, what can you help? And common refrain that I hear from many employers is that they're struggling to find workers, people who will come to work, show up regularly, do a job, be trained, and make a contribution. And while we're fortunate to have a low unemployment rate, I think it's hovering around 3.5%. We've got good news today on the inflation side, which continues to subside. I think that we're looking now at an annual rate of down to about 4%. We have 340,000 new jobs were created last month. The unemployment rate is still, I think, about the lowest it's been in a long time. But we still have a tough time encouraging people to enter the workforce following the pandemic. Fortunately, the Earned Income Tax Credit is a proven bipartisan tool to tackle this challenge and bring people back into the workforce. My question for you, Mr. Collins, is how does the EITC incentivize people to work, and how can greater workforce participation uplift families and communities?
Thank you, Senator. How does it incentivize? Long research and history has proven that it's done that since the mid-90s. Attaching it to work has actually worked out very well. So work, in fact, does work when it comes to the EITC. To expand it, I think in the situation that you just mentioned in Delaware, it would be very interesting to see if employers would embrace actually doing EITC awareness campaigns so that they can find more individuals that would be interested in working at their particular facilities. This has worked in some of the programs that we've done across the country and some of the actual programs done by the Office of Family Assistance, for example, in Waco, Texas.
All right, thank you for that. Mr. Chairman, gentlemen, this may already have come up, but you and I served, Mr. Chairman, with Bob Matsui and later on with his widow. And I know we have here with us today their daughter-in-law. And I had a chance to meet with her earlier, but to just convey our best to your mother-in-law and your family. We appreciate very much having known them and served with them.
The bouquet